What if the Earth rotated 90 degrees? No, not tilted its axis like it already does, but actually spun the other way, turning from north to south instead of east to west. Imagine the equator running from pole to pole and the sun rising over Antarctica before setting behind Greenland. Wild, right? Well, today, we're taking a deep dive into this mind-bending alternate reality where our planet spins sideways and everything changes. Let's get oriented. In this new world, the Earth's axis is horizontal. That means the equator now wraps vertically, from the South Pole up through Africa and Europe, then over the Arctic and down again. This single change reshapes the entire planet's climate, geography, and weather systems. First up, the weather. In our world, the sun's energy hits the equator most directly, creating hot tropics and setting off powerful circulation cells. But now, with the equator running pole to pole, the sun's most intense heat hits a completely different swath of Earth. Regions just above 30 degrees latitude, once home to deserts and calm winds, now lies sideways. These areas, known as the horse latitudes, still exist. Just moved. And because the Hadley Ferro cells, the engines of atmospheric circulation, don't function the same way anymore, the jet streams go rogue. Weather becomes even more dependent on geography than before, with storm tracks following totally new routes. Jet streams meander, storms pop up in unexpected places, and hurricane basins? They're completely rearranged. Let's zoom in on the continents. North America is basically flipped. Central America, now icy and polar. Meanwhile, the far north, Arctic Canada, is suddenly tropical. Think palm trees on Baffin Island. Hurricanes slam into Greenland, and a new tornado alley forms near Hudson Bay, thanks to clashing air masses from Baffin Bay in the Rockies. South America takes on an entirely new vibe. The Brazilian coast becomes cool and temperate, like Portugal or France used to be. The forests stretch inland. Down south, the Andes rise like a frozen wall, cutting the continent off from frigid southern seas. And the Amazon River? Once the world's largest, it's now reduced to a humble Mississippi-sized stream. Asia is flipped like North America. The Siberian coast faces a tropical sea, while the Indian subcontinent freezes over. Kolkata and Delhi are ice-locked. And the Gobi Desert? Still dry, but not quite tropical either. Just weird. Europe now looks a lot like Southeast Asia. Great Britain and Ireland resemble tropical islands like Sumatra and Borneo. Iceland? Practically the new Philippines. And in the middle of it all, the Alps hold on to their ice, becoming the only place on the equator with permanent glaciers. Africa spins 90 degrees. Former West Africa becomes a dense tropical rainforest. Former East Africa? A dusty arid desert. And tornadoes, once rare, now tear across the continent just like they do in today's American Midwest. Australia turns lush and green. Rain falls where there used to be desert, and forests stretch across the western half of the continent. And finally, Antarctica, the big winner in this new world. Without its ice cap, it's smaller, sure, but it's covered in highland rainforest. Even McMurdo Station becomes a tropical paradise. If researchers miss the cold, hey, Costa Rica's just a transfer away. But what about us? How would the world's cities fare? Some don't do well. Mexico City is buried under ice. Jakarta becomes a frozen rock like modern-day Svalbard. Delhi and Kolkata are sealed off by Himalayan glaciers. Hong Kong, Manila, Karachi, and Mumbai, still coastal, but now cold and dreary, like Anchorage or Reykjavik. Others do okay, Seoul, Tokyo, New York, and Shanghai all survive with just a few changes. Shanghai cools off. Seoul gets wetter. But overall, life goes on, just a bit soggier. Cairo shifts slightly south, becoming a coastal savanna with rainforest pockets. Near the Nile Delta. Sao Paulo and Buenos Aires now feel like a mix of Boston and London. Cool and rainy. Los Angeles, meanwhile, gets even wetter. Moist sea breezes create a rainy, green city in the shadow of the San Gabriel Mountains. It's basically Seattle too. And some cities really heat up. Moscow turns into a dry furnace, somewhere between Phoenix and Baghdad. And London, a sweltering jungle. The Thames, now home to piranhas. Tigers roam the undergrowth. And yes, they might even apologize before attacking. But let's push things one step further. What if this rotation shift didn't happen slowly, over millions of years, but instantly? No quakes, no tsunamis, just one big magical flip. Sounds like a disaster movie, right? Well, it is. Ice caps melt before new ones can form. Sea levels rise by hundreds of feet. Climate zones shift overnight. Ecosystems collapse. Extinctions spiral out of control. But if Hollywood had its say, the Mississippi River becomes an estuary. Gulf wildlife floods inland. Minnesotans wake up to rafts of fire ants, 5 million confused alligators, and no more ice rinks for the mighty ducks. Grumpy old man? Now complaining about reptiles in their yard. So, what if the Earth rotated 90 degrees? It'd be a world of flipped climates, tropical poles, and rainforests where glaciers once stood. Some places would thrive. Others would vanish beneath ice or sea. And life, as we know it, would never be the same. But hey, at least Londoners would finally get to complain about the heat for once.